Okay, let's dive right into this explainer where we tackle a highly emotional and, honestly, hotly debated topic in the pet care world: the ethics of feeding cats dry food. If you've spent any time at all in online pet communities, you have definitely seen the absolute warfare that happens in the comment section over what goes into a cat's bowl. So today, we're going to map out the actual facts, look at the veterinary consensus, and go over some incredibly creative solutions for everyday pet parents. We're starting off with a pretty heavy dilemma faced by a loving cat owner who really felt the sting of internet judgment simply because they chose a dry food diet for their newly adopted kittens. Now, this owner actually had a history of feeding past cats exclusively wet food, which perfectly aligns with the popular online consensus. They knew the supposed rules. But, when life threw them a curveball with 2 new rescues, they suddenly found themselves facing just a massive barrage of guilt for pivoting to kibble. One specific piece of unsolicited advice really hits the nail on the head regarding the core problem here. Someone literally told this owner that no food is better than dry food. I mean, think about how extreme that is. No food. It's a classic example of how anonymous internet forums can sometimes just totally lack nuance, replacing basic empathy with rigid, unyielding dogma.
Section 1. Sensitive stomachs and pet guilt.
Let's look at the real, painful realities of this specific case to understand why the owner made this controversial choice, because context is absolutely everything. These 2 sister kittens, they weren't just picked up from a breeder. They were found on a construction site at 4 months old. In the weeks that followed, their intestines were totally wrecked by parasites. They were barely clinging to life. It took massive intervention from shelters and multiple vets just to save them. So their current dietary needs, they're driven by serious medical trauma, not owner laziness, and definitely not a desire to just save a few bucks. And the lingering result of that trauma was, honestly, severe. When they were forced to eat wet food, and we're talking even the absolute highest quality, grain-free premium brands out there, these poor cats suffered incredible physical distress. Huge stomach aches, severe diarrhea, and vomiting to the point where they needed prescription medication just to recover from a single meal. This created a really agonizing choice for the owner. Either adhere to the internet's strict wet food-only golden rule and watch their beloved pets suffer, or switch to dry food. So we had this really stark contrast here between the rigid, hostile dogma of internet strangers and the compassionate, practical reality provided by actual veterinarians. The shelter vets, the foster vets, and the owner's personal vets all came to the exact same conclusion. These cats just have a severe inability to digest wet foods. The medical professionals explicitly advised feeding them the dry food that their sensitive stomachs could actually process. Thankfully, when the owner finally shared their story, the broader community really rallied to validate their pain points. As one user pointed out, the idea that anything less than top-tier wet food equates to abuse is completely divorced from reality. Forcing an animal to be in excruciating pain just to satisfy the arbitrary standards of online critics, that is what would actually be bad practice. Section 2. Prioritizing complete feline nutrition. So, the crucial point is figuring out what actually matters when it comes to keeping our feline friends healthy and happy. If the whole wet versus dry debate is mostly just noise, what is the signal? Well, it all comes down to a very specific standard: nutritionally complete. Commercial cat foods, and yeah, that includes the vast majority of dry kibble on the market, are formulated alongside veterinarian nutritionists. They are legally required to contain a balanced profile of amino acids, like taurine, alongside all the essential vitamins and minerals a cat needs to thrive. As long as the dry food meets these baseline legal and scientific standards, it is an absolutely valid, healthy way to sustain a pet. Dry food isn't poison, it's science-backed sustenance. And the most level-headed pet experts distill finding the right food down to 3 incredibly simple steps. Number 1, ensure it's nutritionally complete. Number 2, and honestly this is huge, confirm your cat will actually eat it. Cats will literally go on hunger strikes if they don't like their food, which can quickly cause fatal liver issues. And number 3, make sure you can afford it consistently. These 3 steps are the golden rules of pet nutrition, completely cutting through all that noise of elitist pet care standards. Now, while dry food is perfectly fine, there is one fantastic tip from the community that we definitely need to highlight. Monitor your cat's eating habits carefully. If your cat has always loved their dry kibble but suddenly rejects it and only wants soft treats, it's very often a hidden red flag for mouth pain or dental disease. Cats with bad teeth can easily swallow soft wet food, but crunching dry kibble hurts. So definitely keep an eye on sudden changes in preference. As one user so aptly pointed out, making blueberry pancakes for breakfast isn't exactly what a human would eat in the wild either. But hey, we do just fine.
The focus shouldn't be on the format of the food, but on overall quality and, crucially, hydration. This is really the one metric that actually requires a bit of strategy when feeding a strictly kibble diet.
Section 3. Creative Cat Hydration Strategies. Okay, let's dive into some vibrant, actionable solutions to ensure cats on a dry diet get all the moisture they need to keep their kidneys and urinary tracts functioning perfectly. Since cats notoriously have a really low thirst drive, the community provided a wealth of brilliant tricks. In the wild, cats prefer running water because still water might be stagnant and dangerous. So, stimulating their natural instincts with motorized flowing water fountains works wonders. Another great hack is simply making water more accessible across the house. Put a bowl in the living room, put one in the bedroom. Cats are opportunistic drinkers. You can also just add a splash of warm water right to their kibble, or use low-sodium broths as a tasty little topper.
And hey, we could also playfully outsmart our picky pets with what I like to call the decoy mug trick. We all know cats love to drink out of our water glasses the second we look away, right? So lean into it. Leave out a dedicated pretend mug just for them. If they think they're stealing your water from a coffee mug on the bedside table, they are instantly more hydrated. It's basically psychological warfare, but for their own good.
Or, get funky with it. Another user found success by integrating their cat's water source right into their home decor. Their cat loved drinking from the watering cans in their indoor garden. The solution? Just dedicate a fancy, clean indoor plant vase specifically as a daily drinking hole just for the cat. It's all about finding what brings your specific cat joy and working with their quirky personalities rather than fighting against them.
Section 4. Fed is always best.
Let's see how this all builds into a really reassuring philosophy for any stressed-out pet parent navigating the absolute minefield of animal care. This powerful sentiment perfectly sums up the broader community's response. In human parenting, there's a huge movement that pushes back against the intense pressure of breast versus bottle feeding, simply stating, fed is best. Well, the exact same logic applies here. An animal that is happily eating, digesting their food without pain, and keeping a shiny coat and bright eyes, that is a profound victory. Full stop.
When you find yourself overwhelmed by judgment, always remember to weigh the source of your stress. Are you listening to the rigid, generalized hostility of total strangers online? Or are you choosing to trust the adaptable, compassionate, and highly tailored advice of your actual medical professionals? Your vet knows your pet's specific medical history. The internet definitely does not.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. The pressure to conform to perfect standards isn't just an issue in pet care. We see it in parenting, in our diets, in our careers. How do you set up boundaries against the weight of internet judgment in your own daily life? Think about it. Sometimes the absolute best choice you can make is the one that simply works for you and yours, even if it completely breaks the internet's so-called golden rules. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious, trust your instincts, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.